Hello and welcome back to Whiskey Wars. Tonight we're going to be reviewing a somewhat controversial release from Wild Turkey, and that is Longbranch. Let's get into it. So here's our bottle for this evening, and as some of you may know, if you're on whiskey forums, Facebook, otherwise, watch other whiskey reviews, then you know that this bottle tends to get a lot of crap. Now some people do love it, and I'm not going to say which camp I'm in until the end of this. Wild Turkey paired with Matthew McConaughey. Now, personally, I am a Matthew McConaughey fan. Not a particular movie, has to do with Mike being magic. But in any case, outside of that, I like Matthew McConaughey as an actor, and in general, I think he's a decent person. And also, he likes whiskey, so that also makes him okay with me. But some people do not like celebrity whiskeys. And I get that, because you end up paying for a name, which kind of sucks. I don't think that's really what's happened here. Now, I know that's other people's opinions. Now, with that said, this is, let's just get to the facts, this is an 8-year-old whiskey. It's small batch. Now, again, we don't know how small the batches are, but it's aged in American oak and expertly crafted. That's what it says on the label. But what makes this slightly interesting is that it says Texas Mesquite Charcoal Refined. Now, we don't know exactly what that means. Wild Turkey hasn't really been forthcoming as to what that process is, but that was what Matthew McConaughey wanted to add to kind of give it his kind of flair. And also he oversaw the crafting and the tasting notes, and also just kind of the small batchness mixing process. It's not so much like other celebrity bourbons we've seen. Now, I know some celebrities are more involved than others, but in general, it's just like, bring me some whiskey to try, I like that one, put my name on it. So I appreciate that McConaughey was a little more involved in this, and I also like that he took the time to give it his own personal flair. Now, with that all said, let's get into what it actually smells and tastes like. This part here is for you, Charles. So, for those of you that don't know who Charles is, that is Charles over at Fun with Whiskey. And if you've ever watched any of his videos, then you know that Charles has a very hard time getting whiskey bottles open, which I find hilarious. I would suppose that most of his viewers do as well. But with that said, Charles does some great reviews. He makes them very fun to watch. He's very entertaining. So check him out if you have not yet. Again, that's Fun with Whiskey, and Charles is fantastic. Well, let's get our bourbon poured here and see what the nose and palate are like. And before we get into that, isn't this a great looking bottle? Regardless of how you feel about the whiskey inside, I think this is the perfect bottle for whiskey to be in. I mean, it just screams whiskey. I mean, if you saw this on the shelf and didn't know anything else about it, you would know that's whiskey in there. Now, to our nose. All right, so definitely getting that turkey funk, that kind of dusty nuttiness. Cinnamon showing through. But what's different is there's this sweet smokiness, and I assume that's from the mesquite. It's almost like if you mixed a Brown-Forman nose with a Wild Turkey nose. Because there's hints of banana, and then there's the cherry from the Wild Turkey, and then the cinnamon that's always prominent in Wild Turkey, that kind of nuttiness. But it also has a really nice smoke aspect. I have to say, I really enjoy this nose. It's two of my favorite noses put together. I always enjoy Wild Turkey noses, and I always enjoy Brown-Forman Old Forester noses. And this is kind of the best of both worlds. Yeah, I really am liking that. Now, of course, you're getting the caramel, brown sugar, hints of vanilla, black pepper in there as well on top of the banana, the cherry, the cinnamon. But very nice. Let's get our first sip. So when you see charcoal refined, a lot of people think of the Tennessee process, the Jack Daniel's process. Uncle Nearest really perfected and then passed on to Jack Daniel's. And the issue I have with that process is I always get this kind of gardeny, charcoal, like deep, dirty funk that I find in a lot of Tennessee whiskeys that I don't personally enjoy. Now, I don't know what the process is that Wild Turkey's using, but it says charcoal refined. To what degree the bourbon's going through charcoal is hard to say, but I don't get that funk that I really dislike. Now, if you are a fan of Tennessee whiskey, then maybe you like that funk. Well, that will be missing here. I think you get the mesquite, smoky, woody notes, but you don't get that kind of funky earthiness. And so for me, that's a positive. I like the mesquite. It's kind of a slight sweet oak. You're getting the smokiness, you're getting the char notes, and you're definitely getting that turkey presence. You know it's a Wild Turkey product on the palate. You're getting the spiciness, but it's definitely toned down. You're getting that cinnamon note. It's very prominent, but there definitely is this kind of banana note that I don't normally get on a Wild Turkey product. And then also you're getting that cherry note as well. So all in all, I personally think this is a pretty interesting whiskey. I don't know why people give it so much crap because, now granted, it is only, let's see, it is, okay, so it's 86 proof. But for an 86 proof, it's pretty interesting. There's a lot of flavor on the palate for an 86 proof whiskey. And especially if you're just, if it's like a Friday afternoon, it's been a long work week, or really any day of the week, and you want something to just kind of chill and relax with, I think this is perfect. I don't know how you could go wrong with this. I mean, especially if you're not in the mood for like, a barrel proof option, if you just want to kind of kick back and relax, I think this is the whiskey to go to. And now I've seen this kind of dropping in price recently, I guess because of unpopularity, which is good for us as a buyer. And actually, I'm going to give one more sip here because I'm enjoying it so much. So let's see what else I can get. Yeah, that's just good. I don't know why anyone would sip on this whiskey and say it's a bad whiskey. Now, the only thing I can think is that you do not like the kind of Brown-Forman-esque presence in the whiskey. To me, that just kind of fills out the palate and gives you some more interesting notes that you're picking up. At $35, it's definitely a buy. I think if you're in the mood for just something to kick back and relax with, this is a great bourbon. So if you have not tried it yet because of other negative reviews, then go ahead and try it. Try it for yourself. So with all that said, my final thoughts, folks, I would say I give this a score of a 7.8. Yep, that's where I'm at. So go ahead and check it out yourself and leave your thoughts down in the comments. We'd love to hear those. We'd love to hear your tasting notes, what you're comparing it to, what you're finding. And please feel free to give this a like if you enjoyed the review, if it was helpful to you. And as always, folks, just remember, you can never have too much, say it with me, good whiskey.